we welcome Kobi Dennis, who is running to be mayor of Providence. Kobi is a Providence native and a Navy veteran, and he is passionate about helping others. He's earned the nickname Community Guy for his advocacy work on issues affecting urban Rhode Islanders. In 2009, he founded Project Night Vision, an after-school service program for children in need. He also co-launched the Building Bridges initiative to improve police and community relations. Welcome, Kobi.
How is everyone doing? Good. The one thing I never need is a microphone. All right, so as she said, my name is Kobi Dennis, and I am running to be the next mayor of the great city of Providence. So again, let's go down. I'm very excited to be here for many reasons, but the main reason I'm excited to be here is because I enjoy talking to people. I'm 46 years old. I'm a dad who just sent his 15-year-old daughter off to Cuba for a class trip. Yeah, I went to Roger Park for my class trip. She's going to Cuba. But anyway, 3 o'clock this morning, I'm up shoving her off, and I'm like, man, how times have changed. And that's what I want to do with this election. Running for mayor wasn't an easy decision at all. But when I realized, I'll tell you what I realized when I looked under the qualifications to run for mayor. All these years, I'm a military veteran, I traveled the world, and all these years sitting back watching the political game unfold, I've always thought you had to have all these degrees and have a lot of money and plenty of influence and so on and so forth. And when I looked at the criteria and it said 18 years old, GED or high school diploma, no criminal record, I said, hey, that's me. That's me, all right? So I really thought about how the scope of politics has changed because many people haven't read that line. They really believe that you have to have all this going for you, or against you, I say sometimes, because it's not always a positive. And in my city, in the city of Providence, I think that's part of the problem. We forgot about engaging with just the regular person. We forgot about including them as part of the process. And that's what I'm going to do. I've been doing that my entire life. Whether it's the kid in the back that gets bullied, whether it's the kid at the lunch table that no one plays with, or so on and so forth, that's what I've been doing my entire life, engaging people, talking to people, letting everybody know that they count. One of my mottos is we all count. And I know a lot of and I don't want to spend much time talking about the competition, but plenty of time they have touted, we're going to fight for everyone and so on and so forth. And that doesn't seem to be true. I want to make that true, and how I'm going to start it is by doing it in my campaign. See, the way somebody runs, to me, is how they're going to govern. All right? If they're running and they're not shaking your hand and talking to you and so on and so forth, they're probably, when they win, they're going to do the same thing. And we fall for it all the time. Well, guess what? For the past 8 months, I've been running day in and day in and day out. I'm exhausted. I will tell you that, but I can't stop, just like this great movement that's going on here today. I can't stop, all right? And I won't stop. And I think most of my support comes from people looking at me saying, man, Kobi's been doing that for 20 years. We know win, lose, or draw, he's still gonna be doing that. Cleaning streets, feeding people, helping to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the inner city community. Before I started, and yes, I will pat myself on the back because plenty of people out there taking credit for building those bridges. They did not. I bridged the gap between law enforcement and the inner city community, and I did that day and night by infiltrating, and I say that in a good way, the police departments, talking to the Chiefs Association, talking to colonels, introducing them to kids right in Chad Brown, starting in 2010. And we introduced the basketball league there, and that summer was one of the safest summers that Chad Brown has ever seen. How do I know that? I don't need data. I ride through Chad Brown still to this day, and people will say, man, I remember that safe summer. To me, that's real change, and that's what I'm all about. I'm going to keep doing it. I don't need to rehearse or practice. I work every day, so when I get off work, I come here, I come, to forums like this and talk, and I just talk from the heart. So please do jumping jacks and tell me when to stop. Because I could talk to these good people all day, because this is what I do. And I'm always talking to people about how they improve the quality of life. Whether you're somebody, as someone had an interest today, whether you're talking about childcare, affordable childcare, or whether you're talking about voter registration, which is part of my plight. Many of these folks out here, they're just struggling to find out what's really going on and how they can be a part of this process. Because I think that's what happened in the last election. People didn't feel part of the process. That's my job, okay? And that's going to be my job, and I'm going to stick to that, helping people to understand what it means to be part of the political process. Because one of the biggest things in my neighborhood that people say is, I'm not into politics. And instead of saying shame on you, because I'll be honest, I've touted those words as well, because I didn't feel a part at one time. Instead of saying shame on you, I say, well, if you're not into politics, what you're telling me in an indirect way is you're not into better child care. You're not into better communities. You're not into fixing those roads. You're not into fixing those schools. That's what you're saying. Because the only way we can affect change and get that to happen is to get out and vote, is to become part of the process, is to learn the political process. And a lot of these people, and it has nothing to do with money, color, it has nothing to do with affiliation, it has to do with the unknown. And to me, in my neighborhood in particular, I'll speak about my community in particular, it's the unknown. I've registered probably hundreds of people in the last 8 months of running just to vote. And then we're not talking 18, 19-year-olds. We're talking 25, 35, 45, 50-year-old people that said, I've never voted before I met you. And they didn't really guarantee me a vote. I wish they did, but they did say, I will get out there and join the process. And I'm happy about that. The other thing they've learned is you can register to vote at 16 years old. How many people knew that in here? You can register to vote at 16. A lot of people didn't really know that. And I think that's very important to point out. And I think the Secretary of State is doing a fantastic job with that, because you need to get to know about the process before it begins. And that's with anything, right? New job, new family. I know when I first became a dad, I was reading every book. I really started paying attention to what the uncles and aunts were doing at the cookouts, how they were raising the kids. I really started paying attention. Well, that's the same thing with voting. We got to figure out what to do. The poll is kind of scary sometimes. The booth is kind of scary sometimes to some people. The unknown is scary. So my job, as someone that's running for mayor of a city of 176,000, is to get out there and try to meet them all. All right? Try to talk to everyone. And for the past 8 months, I've been meeting plenty. And I've been hearing the stories. And I've been encouraged and discouraged at the same time. But what I will not do is quit. So with that said, I definitely want to leave some time for some questions. I didn't come up here to give a political spiel. I just wanted to talk to you people that I know that we're pretty much on the same page. I thought I would talk to you candidly and let you, if you would like to, ask me about what my mission is and what I'd like to do. So once again, my name is Kobi Dennis, and I'm running for mayor of the city of Providence. You guys can clap at the end of that. Born leader, I don't mind giving direction. Yes, ma'am.
Well, I just wanted to ask you, and I guess I'd probably ask everybody that's going to be speaking, what would you say are your 3 top priorities as you become mayor?
Sure, thank you. And my 3 top priorities are a little bit different from the norm. Everyone, I guess the 3 top priorities that, if you Google it or what have, is usually infrastructure, education, roads. Mine, the first thing is the people. So city services. I really, when I win, I said that right. When I win, I want to sit down with all the department heads and talk about what we haven't been doing. And that's reaching out to the people, fixing the things that we need to fix, doing what we can, okay, working with the people to fix what we have. I think we have so many interior assets, so many things that we're not building on. We're so busy always trying to buy new. We get new cars, we get new equipment all the time. What about the stuff we have? Let's try to fix the problems. So I'd say I meet with the city, the department heads first. Then definitely sit down with some of the unions. We're having this teacher problem. We're having the problems with the teachers. It's well known. Well, they can't even sit down together, okay? This community governance, I want to bring that back. And community governance, in case you don't know, it's this town hall style stuff right here. I actually envy small towns, okay? Why? Because they sit down in town hall meetings and they talk about it. And guess what happens at those town meetings? Guess who those people are? They're people that live there, that go to the stores there, that shop there. Unfortunately, in Providence, this hasn't happened because most of the people that run the city don't live in the city. So that's a problem. Okay, so I want to fix that. I'm not trying to, I don't want people to get afraid they're going to lose their job once I win. What I want to do is see how they can come back to the city and help us solve some of these problems. And finally, I guess I would go with, police. I'm big on police and community relations. Because before the Trayvon Martin situation, I was the one out in the streets doing things before that happened. So once again, I will do that to when the people, the highway situation happened, but it could have got way worse than that. Okay, it could have spread through many communities if I hadn't had the wherewithal to get to the people and start that dialogue, start building those bridges between community and police, and realize that the reason why we have most of the problems between community and police is they don't understand us and we don't understand them. So my goal with that, and still to this day, I work very hard and tirelessly doing it, is getting us to understand each other. And that's by finding out policies and going to schools and having midnight basketball league and having all type visit, Officer Friendly. Who remembers Officer Friendly? All right? Officer Friendly don't get a check anymore, so he doesn't come anymore. And we have to stop that. Officer Friendly should be back at all the schools. So things like that, just common solutions. Thank you for your question. Yes, sir.
The elephant in the room in the city of Providence is the financial situation.
Absolutely.
Have you and the team put together any kind of a thought program or sketched out some sort of talking points as to how you as the mayor and your team would address those problems?
Sure. So,
to the financial problem?
thank you for asking that, and that is definitely the elephant in the room, and we always want to talk about money. So the budget problems, it's evident. What happens with the budget is many people don't understand the budget, including myself when I first started. So what I've been doing personally is training with people that have been connected to the city and other cities to find out how we can solve these budget issues. To sit here and tell you that I have all the answers, first of all, I would probably go get another job somewhere else if I could fix our deficit, because the last 3 mayors could not do it. Okay, so I don't want to act like I have all the answers, because that wouldn't be mayoral. That would be called a magician, another M word. So as far as sitting down with my team, we've sat down many times. Actually, we probably sit down 2 to 3 times a week and talk about when we review the budget and we talk. But we only see what you see, and that's one thing. I don't want to say that they're not showing us everything, but they're not showing us everything. Okay, I need to know what's really going on inside the budget before I start making any real decision. Is there a lot of cuts and stuff that I'm going to have to make? A lot of tough decisions? Absolutely. But my goal as the mayor is to get in there and once again with the community governance, bring people around me, the heads of some of these really fine organizations and some of the people that are really ahead of these institutions that are making a lot of money in our city. I want to bring them to the table as well. For too many years, people have been left out of the conversation. But where I would start, I guess, is probably with the anchor institutions, okay? And I don't really want to say just Brown University, but Brown University, Rhode Island Hospital, all these nonprofits that are 48% of the taxable base in Providence. And really, the services in lieu of taxes is really, really hurting us. So that's one of the places I would start. With the anchor institutions, the macro institutions, and try to get with the many, get together, and we need to sit at the table. You're going to hear me say sit at the table often, because we really need to get that approach back. So yes, sir, the budget is on my mind. Yes, ma'am.
Do you have any strong feelings about the public transportation situation in Providence? I know that falls under a state authority, but I feel like as the hub is in Providence, you would have a lot of more pull maybe than other people. And I just feel like the public transportation system is really lacking, and that's something that everyone would really benefit from. And statewide, of course, but specifically in Providence, that's a huge problem, I think.
Well, I haven't heard. People were pretty happy with RIP to the left, from the people I've been talking to. I would definitely, from the people I've been talking to, they're pretty happy with as far as the way it's running, the routes and so on and so forth. What's that?
The routes are infrequent.
Okay.
It runs.
Right.
Smoothly, but like,
I don't
not
need-
very often.
You know, I haven't taken the bus in years, but these are things, I'll be honest, and I'm definitely going to look into that. This is why I want to go and talk to the people often, because I haven't heard much about the bus, except when they reroute and sometimes on holidays. And I heard a lot about the pricing hikes, a lot about that. I'm not very happy about that. I think, you know, it should remain the same and the people should have some more say in that. But that's a very interesting question, and I'd love to explore it some more. Yes, ma'am.
Thank you for being here. Providence has attracted a large number of very diverse immigrant groups from around the world increasingly. And with the current national administration, they're really at risk of all sorts of things, including deportation. Have you been working with any immigrant refugee groups and looking for ways that the mayor of Providence could do more to protect them from abuses and also to improve their life chances?
Right, so that's a great question. So the mayor of the city currently, the incoming, he has already declared us a sanctuary city. Therefore, I don't want to say forcing us, but having us have to put in place measures to protect this population. I've already been protecting this population for many years. I work with youth, so many times I already see the signs when the kids don't want to fill out applications, when they don't want to come on field trips, when the parents don't want to come to the door to meet me. So I think I've been doing my part because I definitely go above and beyond to make sure they get their services, to make sure confidentiality is at the utmost. What I would do as mayor is just increase what I've already been doing. Make sure they have safe havens, make sure they have safe places, make sure there is things in place to ensure that they can come out and feel a part of the community. But, you know, when we say sanctuary city, it's really hard for me to define because I want to be one of the first cities to say that we're a sanctuary city, but actually really be doing some, you know, different things from everyone else. And I don't think we're doing that just yet. So it's not that I don't want to reveal everything to you just yet, but stay tuned. I have some things coming down the pipeline that I think will be very interesting, and a lot of people in the country will follow suit. My time's up. She's jumping jacking. Thank you. Thank you all. Thank you.